From Nedbank Private Wealth. Welcome. I want to talk about the weakness coming into global markets that's from fear of US interest rates.
Yeah, so again, it's quite interesting that you have seen that the market's opening up a bit lower today and kind of continuing to trend lower through the day. But that's been led by lower US equity markets and really just on the back of, two Federal Reserve governors coming out and saying, look, an interest rate increase is on the cards.
It's all about the Fed.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Markets usually work in lockstep with the expectations that are set by the Fed Reserve government, Fed Reserve Reserve Bank governors. But this time, just kind of conveniently ignoring that.
Okay, let's move on to, because there are lots of corporate announcements happening in the local market today. Trading update out from ARM, that stock losing 5%.
Yeah, so look, the market was expecting something a bit better, but down about 25%, I think, in HEPS and EPS numbers. A bit difficult to look at a trading statement and kind of dig deep into it, but the company did flag that they were negatively affected by a softer commodity dollar price, or commodities obviously priced in dollars, and that was only marginally offset by a weaker rand-ZAR exchange rate.
But of course, the miners that are doing well, the gold miners, Sabania, coming out with a trading update saying what first half earnings will be up by 542%.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, there were expectations for a bit of a better number than that. I know that's crazy to say that, but the market's slightly disappointed. They have had a great run, but if you do look at the trading statement that they put out, again, the company probably, the four GFI mines that they're listed with, the three on the Witwatersrand and then Beatrix in the Free State, very cash generative businesses, which allow the company to pay out that solid dividend. So looking forward to their results.
So Kyle, do you think that with high interest rates in the US, stronger dollar, is this the end of the run for gold? Yeah,
I think so. I mean, it has had an exceptional run of late, especially given the rand exchange rate has all been very supportive for miners from a cost-based perspective. But I think you're probably looking at a bit of a peak of the cycle if you look at it from a rand-ZAR gold price.
Okay, other trading update coming out from Adcock Ingram, that stock moving up by 4%.
Yeah, so, I mean, just off the bat, pretty impressive numbers that they released from an EPS and HEPS number. A very anticipated number coming out from them. I think it's next week that they deliver their results. So if you'll remember that back last year in May, they made an offer was made of 52 Rand a share and investors at that time thinking that, probably a bit more value in Adcock than the 52 Rand represented. I don't think the shares traded back there since then. Looking forward to the results, looking to see if those margins have increased, and then obviously looking for a strong operational performance out of them. And they have discontinued their Ghana operations as well as their Indian operations, which were a bit of a drag on the performance last year. So I know a lot of investors will be looking at those numbers.
Quick comment on Wilson Bailey Homes also coming out with a trading update today. Yeah,
again, pretty solid numbers given the economy that we're working in. Funnily enough, last year Wilson Bailey around February, they cut back their Australian operations just on the back of a softer construction environment. And the results today that they released, the trading statement they released, indicating that was, looking pretty positive, so up about 35% there. So that's really driving, positive results for them. And then on the local side, they were down about, they were up, between 5 and 15%. So not a terrible number.
Yeah. Okay, so Kyle, what about the financials? We saw some weakness in them today, of course, having a good run yesterday.
Yeah, so I mean, financials have had a great run of late on the back of a strengthening rand. Obviously, the outlook for the local consumer being a bit better, given that inflation will probably be tempered a little bit. So not a complete surprise that with the rand coming off a little bit, that financials would be coming off a little bit as well.
Well, let's talk about that rand. So we're back at 13.50. You lost about 1% today. Yeah. All fear about US interest rates.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, there is a bit of a divergence in what the Fed was saying, and the market kind of, conveniently ignoring the fact that they have been saying that there is an interest rate increase on the cards, if not September, sometime throughout the year. And markets really just ignoring that. So, two Fed Reserve Bank governors coming out last night and saying, look, this is real. Yeah. I think we need to get used to it, and the dollar strengthening on the back of that.
So we could see some further weakness in the rand?
Yeah, I think so. Given the strong run that it has had this year, I don't think it's impossible.
Who is your stock pick?
My stock pick this week's going to be Brait. So,
why?
It's another pound play, I guess. They got sold off quite heavily in the wake of Brexit. So it came down from around 160 rand a share. It's currently trading at 115 or 116 rand a share. So shortly after Brexit, they did release their NAV sort of update. So the stock's NAV is currently sitting at about 130 rand a share. So a slight discount to NAV, but if you look at their underlying portfolio, 45% of that is made up of New Look, which operates obviously in the UK. So that came under pressure, but still is looking very attractive. And I think, looking at New Look, they've got aspirations of opening, I think, 500 stores in China by 2020, which is obviously very attractive and would do well for the share price. And with the exposure to unlisted instruments like Virgin Active, we like it, yeah.
So, Carter, would you say that Brett is a long-term hold, buy now and hold?
Absolutely.
Okay, quick comment on oil, my favorite topic, oil. It's almost back at $50 a barrel.
Yeah, so again, that's been on the back of data that's coming out of the US indicating that supply maybe not, isn't looking too terrible. And again, you've got another meeting between OPEC, the Saudis, and the Russians, which have agreed to come together and discuss an output freeze. So not a reduction in output, but just an output freeze. And if you look at the main producers, Saudi, they're pretty much producing at record levels at the moment. So kind of just positive sentiment coming through there, and that reflecting in the oil price.
It's a bit of good news.
Yeah. So look, I wouldn't be surprised if this, if it did fall apart. We've been here before in April this
That's
year.
True.
So yeah.
Okay. So on that realistic note, Kyle, thanks so much. Kyle Burgess from Nedbank.